You're listening to Level Up with Wondr, a podcast where we take listeners on a journey through the exciting world of gaming, tech, and innovation. Join the Wondr Nation team as we talk with a diverse group of pros who have taken their skills to the next level.
Happy New Year, and welcome to another episode of Level Up with Wondr. I'm Anika Howard, President and CEO of Wondr Nation, and I'm joined by Jordan Myhawk, our marketing specialist and producer extraordinaire, and you'll see more of her in front of the camera, but all of the episodes in the past have been her handiwork. And finally, Deanne Marvel, our VP of Marketing Strategy and Operations. It's been a year since we've launched the podcast, and we're looking back on all of the great conversations that have taken place and looking forward to what we can expect in the second season of the show. We welcomed over 15 guests from a variety of backgrounds in gaming, tech, and innovation. And it's been a wonderful experience to meet so many amazing people. We started the show with the intention of highlighting diverse voices in the gaming industry, and beyond that, really getting different and unique perspectives about what to expect in the future. And we're excited to continue that in 2025. So I'm going to turn it over to Deanne Marvel so we can do a little bit of looking back.
Alrighty. Thanks, Anika, and thanks, Jordan, for being such a great producer. As Anika mentioned, we really spent our focus with this podcast and continue to think it's important to highlight diverse voices. And I especially think, given where we are with some of the deprioritization of DEI initiatives in the United States, we still want to continue to lean into highlighting the diverse voices and really focusing on those key times of the year. When we look back at the conversations we had, we focused on Black History Month, highlighting African Americans in the gaming and innovation space. We focused on Women's History Month to speak with some women leaders in that space. We also, of course, as a responsible gaming organization, we focused on Responsible Gaming Education Month, as well as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. We brought in guests during Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We had some phenomenal conversations during Pride Month. We also brought in some great voices during Hispanic Heritage Month. And of course, we focused on conversations in Native American Heritage Month, including some conversations around missing and murdered Indigenous peoples. We want to continue with that spirit and continue to bring in those types of individuals. Hopefully, we had some conversations with individuals that our guests and listeners hadn't met before and really open their eyes to all the different types of amazing people that are there in our industry and beyond. What we wanted to do, a fun little exercise, is to talk about some of our favorite episodes. I mean, personally, they're all our favorites. We love them all with such great conversations. And if you haven't listened to all of them, you're missing out. So take a listen. I am actually going to turn it over to Jordan to start us off with maybe talking about one of her favorite episodes or one that she thought was most impactful.
So one of our first episodes was with Alex Dixon, which Anika hosted. He has an amazing path being a third generation casino employee. And he kind of talked about the importance of mentorship and sponsorship in his journey, and also the role of gaming in economic and community development.
I've known Alex for most of my professional career within the gaming industry. And it was very nice for me because we are co-founders of African Americans in Gaming. I just want to shout out to Alex. He just recently moved back to Las Vegas in an amazing role as president of Resort World. I know that's a big thing for the community, especially him being third generation, born and raised in Las Vegas. I was going to say New Orleans, that's me, Las Vegas, and being able to come back in such an amazing capacity to lead one of the major casinos on the Strip. So we always love to see that growth and progress, and sending him lots of love.
Yeah, I'll chime in. That conversation with Alex was a phenomenal one. He is such a great leader. He's such a great mentor and a role model. And I was so excited to have him on this podcast. Lots of lessons and just little gems that he dropped. So definitely one of the favorite sessions and one of the most insightful ones that we have. So thank you, Jordan, for that. All right, Jordan, what's the next one?
Next up is Sophie Wood, who we talked to for Pride Month. She has a really inspiring personal journey as a trans woman that kind of led to her passion of fostering inclusivity in company cultures. And she shared a lot of great insights in her aspirations for creating authentic and safe spaces in today's corporate world. And I also thought when we talk about, very unique career paths that led to gaming, she actually worked for the UK Police Service before entering the online gaming space.
Yes, Sophie's episode was just very authentic, very vulnerable in terms of what she shared, a lot of very personal details. Like Jordan said, she has this unconventional path, but she was just very open
Yeah.
and sharing things that maybe some people wouldn't. And I really appreciate her giving her time and giving herself and sharing her story with us so that we're able to share it with all of you and all of our listeners. So, yeah, really, that was really a really great episode there.
Yeah. I remember meeting Sophie initially at a Global Gaming Woman event at ICE when it was in London. I just remember immediately being drawn to her and wanting to have her story shared here. And just remember her being just so open and willing to come and share. I think there's so many different people that are struggling and going through journeys, and it's nice to be able to have a model and have someone that you can bring forth that's so vulnerable and have such a strong and powerful message and story to share. Because you never know what people are going through and at what point some of the things that people are sharing can have a positive impact and make a difference in their path. So really, really like that one. Jordan, was that because you hosted that one, didn't you?
That was Trinity.
Trinity hosted that. No, Trinity, one of the things that we love about that, because Trinity is our Wondr Nation apprentice. And I think that was her first time on camera too. So it's a great episode for one of our younger team members to be able to participate and bring that story to light. So lots of good things out of that story. I agree. It's one of my favorites as well.
Absolutely. Okay, Jordan, which one's next?
Next up is Juan Baez, which I actually hosted. That was the second one that I hosted. Also, shout out to Tammy Barlow. I was kind of the go-to person for responsible gaming / problem gambling conversations this past year. So Juan talked about his career journey from mental health and addiction counseling to the responsible gaming program manager at Rush Street Interactive. And he shared a lot of great insights on the importance of responsible gaming, sustainable play, and his vision for the future of the industry.
What I liked about Juan too is Juan kind of leaned into our conversation a little bit about video gaming and some insights there. And he has this really broad perspective. And I think starting there from that treatment angle was very interesting because it gives him a very unique perspective on responsible gaming because he has been there and he has worked there. And it's not just, programs for him. It's something that he personally, where he started his career and where he put his efforts into. And I think he's certified, or he was certified as like treatment counselors, et cetera, and things like that. So definitely a very smart person with a great perspective on responsible gaming. Again, of course, always shout out to Tammy as a consummate professional and responsible gaming extraordinaire.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the things, Deanna, you said really stuck out to me because the fact that he did touch on beyond just gaming and video game and went into some of the other avenues, especially as we look at what we're hoping to accomplish at Wondr Nation overall, where it's not just traditional real money gaming and we're looking at the online gaming experience. And so it's nice to have those perspectives beyond just gaming. That was really helpful in that conversation as well.
All right, next up we have Josh Carter, which Anika hosted. Josh is the director at the Mashantucket Pequot Museum, which is a partner of ours. He talked a lot about preserving and promoting Pequot and Northeastern woodland culture. He gave insights on the role of cultural intelligence, also fostering meaningful relationships with Native communities. He talked a little bit about innovation and storytelling and kind of bringing to life the stories of the Mashantucket Pequot tribe, but also their sister nations.
And it was a full circle moment for me as well. One of the things we had talked about with Josh is that when I started at Foxwoods and I was going through my orientation, ironically, this is before it was even a thought that he would head the Mashantucket Pequot Museum and Research Center. He was the person that when I did my orientation, took us through the tour and told us the history of the Pequots and gave us that introduction. And I remember just having an immediate connection with him. Anyone that meets him knows how warm and passionate he is about the culture and how he leans into the importance of bringing that to life and sharing that. So that was one of my favorite episodes as well.
Yeah, Josh is fantastic. I think there's so much lack of knowledge in terms of Native culture and Native impact on history. And so to be able to bring someone like Josh in to talk about the Mashantucket Pequot Museum and Research Center and the work that's being done there. I think it's an important conversation to have. I think we look forward to having many more conversations with Josh on our podcast
Absolutely.
about different topics.
Our final episode that I picked to highlight was also during Native American History Month. It was Jeannie Hovland, who works for the National Indian Gaming Commission. She talked about the importance of tribal self-sufficiency, also the role of tribal casinos in enhancing community welfare. Her main thing that she really does is she works with the National Indian Gaming Commission to address human trafficking and missing and murdered Indigenous persons. So it was a very important and enlightening conversation.
Yeah, we were so grateful to have Jeannie on the show and for her to be able to give us her time and to share all of the great information that she did about these very important topics. It's really worth a listen. She talked a lot about the services and the offerings and the resources that there are available if you believe that there's human trafficking. Also, the education, just knowledge of what it is, because there is sometimes some lack of knowledge in terms of exactly what human trafficking is. And again, like Jordan said, kind of digging into missing and murdered Indigenous people. There are a lot of resources and links that she shared. I believe that they're in the show notes as well.
Yep.
So you can always go to our website and click on the different episodes. The transcripts are there if you don't want to listen, but you can go in and we put in links to all of the different resources that she provided. It's just a wealth of information there. And we continue to work with Jeannie and her team on understanding how we can better protect the communities in which we serve.
But I mean, I really agree. This topic, and I think both of you know, has been very, very passionate for me in terms of what are the things that Wondr Nation specifically can do. I think it's Tribal Women in Gaming, where I first heard her, and she's spoken so eloquently on this on a number of different stages and platforms and locations. Heard about some of it, but not until I dug into what she was sharing to really understand what are the things that we can do to actively get involved and how can we make a difference and this be part of something that Wondr Nation can help work with and make a difference. When you listen to the statistics, they are staggering. And it's one of those things that it's not something that you hear mainstream. And it's something that I'm glad that, through the episode that you hosted and a lot of the work that we'll hopefully do in the future, bring more attention and help be part of the solution. Like Ziani said, please, go to the show notes, lots of ways and resources on how to get involved and what to do if you think that you have issue where you see something and you want to report it. So thank you, Jordan. This list of episodes has been amazing. Like you said, all of them are our favorites. And so it narrowed them down, and sharing just a handful, I know, was a monumental task. Already, I'm thinking about some of the other episodes and the great people that we've had on this show, and just that the level of creativity of the people that we've been able to highlight.
Yeah.
This has been a great labor of love, I think, for all of us.
It has been, and I just formally want to thank all of our guests, everyone who came on the show and gave us their time and shared their thought leadership, their stories, their tips, their advice. We really appreciate all of that. And then also all of our amazing hosts. I love that our show rotates hosts. We have lots of different staff on the Wondr Nation team who had these conversations. As we look forward to 2025, we will continue with the same approach. We'll see new faces. We want to get to everybody on the team. I always tell everyone, stay prepared because I'm coming for you. You will host a session here as well. We really like that opportunity to have everyone in the organization have these conversations, learn, and kind of dig into these stories. Over the course of these conversations, we also had some different trends. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the ones that kind of bubbled to the top. So innovation was one of the topics that was a critical one for us. And we really wanted to talk to people who were in this innovation space, people who were looking at gaming in a different way, because that's definitely our goal. One of our most recent episodes, episode 16 with Anthony, we had a conversation with episode, I think it was 10 with Vic. He talked about his career path. Tamash, one of our earlier episodes, episode 6, he spoke about micro betting. Even one of our very first episodes, episode 2, we have Ryan Johnson. And while not innovation is what we think in terms of traditional gaming, but just his approach for inclusivity in video gaming with HBCUs, I felt was a different way to approach innovation. How do you look at things differently to make sure that everybody's included? Another piece, and Jordan hinted at this earlier, were these unique career paths. And that's something that I actually love to hear. I love to hear people's stories and like, how did you get here? It was great having conversations with people. So I talked with Melissa Pursley. Melissa and I used to work together back in our agency days. So it's really interesting that we have crossed paths again. We talked about Sophie Wood, her very interesting path there. So I think that was something definitely for me that I love to hear. Jordan, Anika, any other paths that kind of stuck out to you that were particularly interesting or unique?
I loved Martha Morales. So I've known Martha and I just love her journey. I love her energy. I love the fact that she started more on F&B path. And it really showed your ability to be able to switch and change. She moved from hospitality to food and beverage to gaming, and she was AGM, and now she's actually moving east. She's moving this way to take on a big role. So congratulations to her on her promotion too, and being able to run her own casino. I love, love, love seeing the progression that people have and the journeys, and really reinforcing the message of leaning in and stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think that's a big part of what we also do with the team, and making sure that everyone else has an opportunity to host, because everyone isn't comfortable being in front of the camera. I think even a lot of our guests, it's coming out of the comfort zone for them too. But I love just listening to all the journey, because there's always something that you can glean from it. And Martha's story for me was very inspirational.
I really liked Frances Alvarez, just that entire episode, but also her path. I mean, she's dedicated her like entire career to working in the gaming industry, specifically the tribal gaming industry, but she kind of started in a more regulatory slash tech space, but now she's the chairwoman of the Tribal Gaming Protection Network, the president of the Native American Hall of Fame. She also has her own tribal relations firm. I really enjoyed hearing about her dedication to her community and how that's led her to serve in all these different roles throughout her career.
Yeah, I liked her story as well. Also, she's just such a sweet person and such a
Yeah.
gem. And actually, that conversation was had with our Wondr Nation associate, Lindsay, who's a member of the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation and who also attended the Women in Tribal Gaming Symposium, where Albert, the organization that Jordan mentioned, the Tribal Gaming Protection Network, puts on, where Lindsay was actually an ambassador this past year. Great, great conversation, bringing it full circle. Another interesting one, and we haven't talked about this one, was Value
Yeah.
Leo, and very, very inspirational woman in terms of her career path and how she started out with some more on the gaming side and at some of the big gaming suppliers, and then moved on to have a studio of her own and really leaned into Asian gaming, which is kind of respecting her culture, but also,
Yeah.
as you know, if you're in gaming, you know that the Asian gaming category does very well. And so it was just fantastic to hear from her and her story, and being a female and something that is very male driven, especially in, game production and design, etc. Really interesting to hear her path.
I love that too. I knew Value from her time at IGT. And then after COVID, seeing her pivot and bringing a lot of her designers to lead up her own studio, and seeing that she was very successful doing that for IGT, and then to still have that strong presence to be able to, step out, continue to be successful doing it on her own terms. I just saw her at ICE Barcelona as well, and she's continuing down that path and growing. And what I also love is that it's not just purely gaming. One of the things that we've leaned in and had conversations with her is about her language and education apps, which is a very, very big passion for her. You see a lot of these women and our guests, and we'll talk about leadership in a minute, I'm sure, but leaning into this and not just wanting to do this for a financial gain, but seeing this as an opportunity to give back, and seeing this as opportunities to be able to train and develop future designers, future engineers.
Absolutely. And like you said, Anika, you talked about leadership. Leadership was definitely a topic that came up throughout the podcast because we spoke to leaders, and it's
Yeah.
great to understand how they got there. Leadership, mentorship. I don't think we hit on our episode with Lauren Bates
Yes.
from
That's the first
GGW.
person that came to mind.
Yeah. So you can talk a little bit about your thoughts on Lauren there.
I mean, one of the things too that this organization and kind of we have been very involved in is Global Gaming Women. And Lauren Bates is the president of the board for Global Gaming Women, and just leaning into a lot of the work that she's been doing and her vision for that organization. And also, I would be remiss to congratulate Diani. Diani Marvel is now the newest member of the board of directors for Global Gaming Women. I'm stepping down and going onto the advisory board. So it's amazing to be able to welcome Diani to the organization in that leadership capacity. And I know she'll be wonderful, especially as we look to Lauren, the vision for the organization, the things that she wants to bring forth, and even her journey within in gaming. It's really just very empowering and impactful to see that in action and to be able to be part of an organization that's really designed to really elevate women in gaming.
Absolutely. It'll be a great year. I'm very happy to join the GGW board of directors, work with all those amazing women. A lot of the women on the board, well, I think all of them are leaders. And then GGW as an organization has lots of resources and conferences to help develop more female leaders in the gaming space. As we can see, there was a lot that we talked about. It's a lot that we loved, and all of our episodes brought so much value to us, but we also feel like to our listeners as well. And so we are so excited to go into the next year and achieve more, right? And continue to do this great work. Is something that has been a labor of love for us to put this together, to bring this to life, to have these conversations, to reach into our networks, to make new networks. And I am always asking somebody to be on this podcast. So thank you, everybody, for saying yes. And giving us the time as we expand our podcast and the voices and the insights that we're bringing to everyone. Let's pivot for a second and talk about what the future holds for us. I will hand it off to Jordan for a second to just talk about some of our goals for 2025, and then we can talk a little bit more about what people can expect.
So looking ahead, we're really hoping this year to kind of grow our listener base and get connected with more and more people. Really, our goal is to just continue to get guests from a variety of backgrounds and niches for unique and interesting conversations. Regardless of if you are interested in gaming or tech or innovation, we're hoping to have something for everyone and have conversations that will be universal and everyone will find interesting.
And with our growing our base, that's a big piece for us. So if you haven't subscribed. Our podcast is on our website, but then you also can go to our YouTube channel and you can see the videos. We're on Spotify and we're also on Apple Podcasts. So please subscribe, share with your friends and colleagues who you think may be interested in the content that we're providing. And if you're interested in being a guest, then please reach out to us. We will be adding a form to our Level Up with Wondr web page that allows folks to submit requests if they want to be on our podcast. And that's wondernation.com/level up for that, if you're interested. This past year, we leaned into our diversity focuses. We will continue to do that. That is not going to change. So as we're looking forward to Black History Month, that's coming up. We'll be partnering with African Americans in gaming to bring some great voices on the podcast. But in addition to those diversity focuses, we are also looking into bringing in more topics, more trends, and kind of doing some expansion there.
I think one of the things, and you've been leading the charge on the Wondr side, that's really interesting and important to me is kind of artificial intelligence and what are the things that we can do and how people are leveraging AI and technology, focusing forward on like what are those things and how are people reimagining gaming in those ways. Like you said, additionally, get advocacy for underrepresented groups within the industry. For me, I really want to be able to see like how does that come to life in terms of creativity, bringing more people and like Anthony and Value that are at the creative and design part of the industry and bringing those things to life. Love to lean more into that and to expand, I think, beyond just having gaming forward. When we look at Wondr Nation, we're looking at it in terms of gaming entertainment. I know there are some interesting relationships that we have because of our big brother Foxwoods. And so kind of seeing what are the resources and some of the great things that they're doing there that we can bring and share in this space too. But I like the idea of just really kind of going broad this year and being able to talk a lot of tech and entertainment in addition to the gaming and great conversations that we've had so far. And just really meeting new and interesting people and hearing their stories, because I think this is what it really started in, coming in and leaning in and amplifying diverse and unique voices in this space.
Absolutely, me too. And we already have identified and have started to outreach with some really interesting folks. I love leaning into creativity and being able to talk to people who work in a creative space about what they do and how they have gotten to where they are. So we're going to have lots of different conversations. Of course, we're going to have a core of gaming that will always be there, but really these different voices. And so we're super excited about bringing all of that to life and continuing to grow our podcast. We are all looking forward to another amazing year. I want to send a huge thank you to everyone who's listened to our episodes, who've shared our episodes. Of course, the biggest hug and thank you to our guests and the folks who gave us their time and shared their stories. And to, of course, our Wondr Nation team who filled in as hosts, even sometimes when they were a little bit nervous and it was the first time. Everybody did a phenomenal job. And then our Jordan, who has brought all of this together. So proud of the work that you've done and in creating something that we're very, very proud of. It's been fantastic to look back on what we've accomplished, but also to look forward as to what we're going to be working on in this next year and beyond.
No, absolutely, Deani. I just want to echo your thank you for all of our guests. We really appreciated the Wondr Nation team. Shout out to the team. They have been amazing in stepping up when asked to come on and be part of this and host and step out of their comfort zone. So we appreciate all of the work and all of the efforts that our team has done in front of and behind the scenes.
So excited for another year of insightful conversations. For our listeners, just continue listening to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or through the Wondr Nation website. Follow Wondr Nation on socials. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X. Like Deani said earlier, we're going to be putting a new form on our website for anybody that may be interested in being a guest. So if you or somebody that you know has a really interesting path, definitely check that out. And just stay tuned for future episodes and share your feedback.
Thank you for listening to Level Up with Wondr. Visit wondrnation.com/level up for more podcast episodes about how we're reimagining the gaming entertainment industry. Want to level up your business? Visit our contact page at wondrnation.com to inquire about our strategic consulting or management services.